Oh my god. I, they even got the Devil May 5 cry. Oh my god. Whatever series, it just looks like that. Oh my god, though. The enemy variety is actually pretty sick. Of course, a lot of these may be reused assets from the previous games, but heck, if they can have a huge roster and build upon their roster, that works too. I don't mind reusing assets as long as they're actually developed a little bit more. For some reason, it looks like they changed Brick again. Not sure why they gave him a mustache, but alright. Alright. I can dig. I can dig. And they changed Mordecai too. But strangely didn't change any of those guys. Interesting. I have no idea who he is. Must have been from Tales of Borderlands. Pretty much the same as well. Actually, that Marcus guy actually looks a little bit bigger this time. And over 1 billion guns. My god. And guns with legs. Beautiful. Turrets that can actually chase you. Now, that's what I freaking want to see. My god. Games like these. These games are so freaking rare and far in between. I mean, how many times can you say that legitimately people are amped up for a game while also not simultaneously completely dreading its release? I mean, can you even imagine that? Like, nowadays, people are so starved for, like, really good games that are actually well-crafted with a lot of time put into it and that are clearly going to do well. But then, like, the majority of games that people play and people are arguing over and talking about nowadays are those that are, like, poorly developed, really short turnaround time, and only last for, like, a month. Like, think about it. What games right now are in the public's eye? You had that Anthem for a hot sec. I mean, that game lasted, like, a week before everyone ditched that game like a freaking baby at a dumpster. And then what else was after that? You had, like, Battlefield 5. Half that game wasn't even properly developed, not to even mention the politicization around that made it absolutely untouchable. And then there was, before that, we had Star Wars Battlefront 2, but I'm kind of being unfair. I'm picking on EA a lot. But to be honest, EA does release a lot of games, and they do influence a lot of the gaming trends, too. I mean, big players do big things. But at the same time, there is a larger gaming trend as a whole. I mean, take a look at your games library right now, either on Xbox, PS4, or computer. Take a look at how many of those games right now have a cash shop, have a loot box system, or have some other extraneous way to monetize their game beyond DLC and beyond, and I mean DLC and like those that actually expand upon the game. So like Soulstime or systems that actually add like a large amount of content, not just like, oh, here's a package of clothing, but like that actually add additionally to a game. I mean, there are very few of them that do not have something like that. I mean, the amount that have loot boxes now is asinine. I mean, I could just take a look at my dashboard right now. How many of my games actually have a cash shop feature? Well, I have Dungeon Defenders 2. That's heavily monetized to living crap. Elder Scrolls Online, most certainly. We have Battlefront 2. We have Overwatch. We have the Skyrim series now, which now is heavily monetized thanks to the introduction of, what was that system called? The Creation Club? Yeah, that was what it's called. The Creation Club. That, And then I also have War Thunder right here, and then we also have Apex Legends. And also, yeah, I guess Killing Floor 2. Wow, a lot of my games have a cash shop in them. I didn't even realize that. It's like half of them right now that are at least made within the last like 5 to 10 years have a huge cash shop system in it these days. And I mean, is that bad? I mean, think about it. When it comes to actual cash shop systems and these loot box systems, they probably are considerably bad for game development. I mean, if you go back to EA's games, I mean, oh my god, those games have been butchered by the cash shop system. I mean, Anthem, prime example, prime freaking example. How many armors did they have for each individual Javelin or Warframe suit or tuxedo did they have for on launch? They had like, what, 1 or 2? And the rest of them had to be purchased or just simply not even activated, which probably made sense because EA considers games a service now when they have a roadmap that lasts like 2 or 3 years, but they don't want to actually put in development time, so they just cut and delay it to later and call it good. I mean, that's like probably one of the most egregious examples of a gaming company, you know, sacrificing the quality of their game to monetize it even further. That's probably one of the most egregious examples. But even a lighter example that you could probably argue is a little bit less impactful, like Elder Scrolls Online per se, even then, the cosmetic and the cash out system has probably butchered the living crap out of the development cycle for that game. I mean, think about Elder Scrolls Online when it first launched with a subscription service that didn't rely on cash shops at all, just had a subscription and, you know, buy into it, obviously. They released Craglord Upper and Lower, and then soon after, at the very tail end of their, like, subscription service, they had Hrothgar that was kind of at, like, the precipice of it. And it's like, you had all of these nice, big, beefy zones with huge freaking storylines, impactful sets, dungeons, trials, the whole freaking kit and caboodle. And then as soon as that done, and they had to go to a buy-to-play mechanic with a huge focus on the cash shop, oh my god, did they freaking slow to a crawl. I mean, oh my god. For like 2 years, that game didn't move anywhere. I mean, they had, what, Thieves Guild, they had Dark Brotherhood, they had the Imperial City, they had a Homestead update and a couple of dungeon packs. Oh my god! That was nothing! Nothing! Imagine if you were a person who played since day one, since 2014 in April. Oh my god, I was bored to tears around that time, and I had to take a 6-month hiatus because I was absolutely about to gouge my eyes out because of how boring it was. And to think about it, it's probably because, one, they had to completely readjust their community structure to focus on developing this huge cash shop, and then also releasing to consoles probably didn't help out much either. But to think about it, nowadays, when the game has kind of grown past those growing pains, what is their development cycle nowadays? Once time a year, they release maybe one interesting zone, like 2 dungeon packs, and like 1 micro zone that probably takes like a month to develop at best. And it's like, sure, I guess maybe over the course of the same time with like World of Warcraft, maybe it's a comparable amount of... No, it's not. Go to World of Warcraft and actually compare the amount of content they've released with, like, say, the Burning Crusade or Wrath of the Lich King. Oh my goodness. The amount of stuff they released there was just... nice. But then compared to that to, like, modern day ESO with their cash out system infrastructure, yeah, they probably can't develop zones like World of Warcraft. I mean, for one, their monetization system probably just doesn't simply allow for such extraneous and long-term projects. But two, they also have to divest so much of their funding to developing dresses and crates and bears. Oh my god, if you look at the mounts in the game, they're all the same freaking mount, except different skins. Half the time, it is literally just them being recolored. They're not even going to bother changing the... What would it be called? Like the mask or like the actual shape of the thing? Half the time, they don't even freaking bother with that. They just slap a new skin onto it and sell it for like $30. Like, the only thing they actually probably spend time in is on those houses. So, like, even that is a game with a mild cash system and loot box system that probably doesn't impact the development of the game that much. But even then, it still impacts the game so much. And then bring it back to Borderlands 3, and then you can just see, this game looks like it probably doesn't even have to rely on that, because the amount of content they already have is immeasurable. I mean, the entirety of this game was just them showing the zones, showing the creatures, showing the characters. I mean, there's so much there to begin with, it is going to be kind of incomprehensible to the amount of content it is. I mean, just the little text of 1 billion guns is insane. You can't even qualify that. And the amount of textures and models they showed within the actual demo here itself is immense. So then you're just thinking to yourself, I mean, do I really have to accept a cash out system? Do I really have to accept such a system in which it hugely impacts the development of the game? I mean, It's so hard to say sometimes. I mean, there probably is also something to say with regards to the actual palate of the consumer nowadays. Because the thing is, maybe it's just like the fact that like our Overton window or whatever the equivalent is in the game in the situation would be, has been pushed so far to the loot box system that games cannot simply thrive off any other system nowadays. I mean, a lot of the games like Elder Scrolls Online, they try to do a traditional system. No one was having it, even though the games these days that were produced with that same system in mind, nobody was willing to purchase it at its current state like that, because they're like, I can't really justify spending $15 a month to play a game, or I cannot justify buying a $60 game because it doesn't seem very interesting off at the very start. So then the huge trend becomes release a full price game with a very flashy, hypey intro, and then make all the profit off people pre-ordering that crap, and then it doesn't even matter if the game dies, because guess what? You've already made all your profit back. So, I mean, for long-term games like that, yeah, I guess the consumer just really isn't in the mood to really do that long-haul investment. I mean, there's always the notable exceptions of games like Minecraft, who were able to essentially slowly develop over time into these really grand games, or that like No Man's Sky. But those games had to be harpooned to living crap to even be acceptable within the public consciousness for the longest time. And even then, those only probably thrived as an exception, not as the rule of thumb nowadays. And I don't know. It's a huge issue in gaming, and I think really we got to ask ourselves if we actually are probably, if we're the consumer that actually can really produce what we want, as opposed to the consumer that kind of wants their cake and eat it too. I don't know, though. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about this whole system? What do you think about cosmetic loot crates and just really the direction of gaming entirely? I don't know. Let me know down below, and catch you later, pumpkins. Bro, let's finish actually its intro, to be honest. Oh, fucking yeah. Delicious looking, finally.